So here's our graph. It has distance on the side, time in hours on the x-axis. What is the slope? They give us two pieces of information, 2 points. They've marked the x and the y. I want to know the slope of this graph. So they've nicely laid out the equation for us. y2 minus y1. Does it matter what you call set 1, set 2? No. So I'll just call this set 2 and this set 1. And I will go now. I will just do this first. So 120 minus 40 is 80. 3 minus 1 is 2. That gives me 40. Does everybody agree with that? Yes? Okay. Now let's look at the units. What are the y units on the y-axis? Kilometers. Okay, so that's in kilometers. What are the units on the x-axis? Hours. This is 40 kilometers per hour. What does that represent? If I say something is going 40 kilometers per hour, I'm telling you the speed, okay? So the slope of a line, they have units, okay? You have to look at the units. That's what this type of question is looking at. So the slope of this line represents how fast we are traveling. I don't know if this is a car or whatever, all right? It represents the speed that we're going at, which is 40 kilometers per hour. Okay, so the slope is the rate. And when you see the word rate, rate of change or rate, it's talking about time being on the x-axis. It's how fast something is being used up or how fast you're going or whatever. So if they ask for the rate of something, find the slope. It's another way of saying find the slope. Okay, so if they say rate, it's screaming at you to find the slope. And since this whole unit is basically about slope, kind of makes sense. Okay. Is that okay? All right. Figure out the slope of this line. This is the temperature and minutes. I want to know the slope of this line. Same formula because it's y2 minus y1. Anybody know what 300 divided by 5 is? 60. Okay, what are my units? Fahrenheit per minute, right? 60 degrees Fahrenheit, the y values, over the x values, which is minutes. What does that number represent? (60 degrees Fahrenheit per minute. It's how fast the temperature of the oven is increasing, okay? Which is the slope, exactly. So we could say the temperature is increasing at a rate of 60 degrees Fahrenheit per minute. What does this number represent? 0.50. Sorry? Not quite, because what's time here? Time is your x value. It's 0, right? It's the initial time, or the initial temperature, right? Before we even turn it on or anything. Okay? So this is the initial temperature. When time is 0, it's the initial amount. All right. Flip the page, please. All right. Now, We've got car driving, so this is similar to the one we did last week. We're driving a car. The number of liters is going down. What's the first thing we need to do? Find the slope. In fact, they even tell us to find the slope. So m is equal to y2 minus y1. So I'm going to go 40 minus 50 over 120 minus 20. Negative 10 over 100. You can give me a decimal on these. Negative 10 divided by 100. Negative 0.1. I need units. What are my units, people? There you go. Liters per kilometer. Wow. It's a nice team effort you got going there. So negative 0.1 liters per kilometer. What does that mean? It's using 0.1 liter every kilometer you drive. That's why it's negative, right? Okay. I want the equation of this line. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. So this is just like the stuff we just did. It's saying find the equation n is equal to md. All it's saying is find it in that form. They are using n and d because d represents distance, etc. N represents the number of liters. Really, they're saying find y is equal to mx plus b. Find the equation of that line. We just did this stuff. So when you're trying to find the equation of a line, what's the first thing you need to find? Do we know the slope? We did it already, right? We know the slope is negative 0.1 liters per kilometer. So we have our slope. Do we have a point? Yeah, we do. We have two of them. Which one do you want to use? Good choice. I would use the smaller numbers too. So if we have a point and a slope, we plug it into this. Y minus 50, negative 0.1, x minus 20. Okay, I write it in y is equal to mx plus b because that's what they're asking for, right? So what do I do? Yes, just remember it's negative 0.1. Decimals are okay for these type of questions. So I get, that's not right. Y minus 50 is equal to negative 0.1 x. 0.1 negative times negative 20 is plus 2. You're going to add 50 to each side, and you end up with that. Okay, and I'm going to ask you a couple questions based off of this. Are you ready? You ready for my questions? No? First question is 1. How much gas was initially present before you started? Before you started driving, how much gas was present? 50? What am I asking here? Let's look at the graph. Let's look at the graph. I'm saying how much before you actually got in the car and drove? How many kilometers before you, how many kilometers had you driven before you've driven the car? That doesn't make any sense. But I'm saying how much was in the car, how much gas was in the car when you got into it? It's when you haven't gone anywhere, right? It's when You're at 0 kilometers. So I'm asking for this number right here. What does that number represent? The y-intercept. Look at our equation. What form is it in? Mx plus b. What's the y-intercept of that equation? 52. So how much gas was in the car before you moved? 52. 52 liters, right? Now, second question. Nope, nope. Yep, you gotta wait. Now you get 10 minutes, it'll just go past. All right. How much gas is left after you drive, I don't know, how many kilometers you want to drive? 75 kilometers. Too bad. You've driven 75 kilometers. How much gas is left? I'm essentially saying no. We're at 75 kilometers there. I want to know what this number is. No. Peoples, we have the equation. What is 75 kilometers? Kilometers is what? X or Y? It's X, right? So where do I put the 75 kilometers? In for X in your equation. So you go Y is equal to negative 0.1 times 75 plus 52. What's 0.1 times 75? Negative 7.5. What's negative 7.5 plus 52? 50. 44.5? Does it make sense that it's 44.5? Not sure. Does it make sense that it's less than how much you started with? Yes. Yes, we will. You're on break. Go. Always put time on the x-axis. So after 2 hours, I will give you the graphs on the test. We might as well just practice filling it out. We have a reading of 2137. 21,328, sorry. And then after 5 hours, 2 hours, it's HRS. Just put 2. Yeah. We have a reading of 21,604. All right. Everything we do in this class is a straight line, so we might as well connect the dots. So there's our 2 points. When you get a question like this on your test, it's going to have a graph. It's going to ask you 3 questions. Before you do anything, what should you just do automatically? Find the slope. Let's find the slope. It's always about slope, right? So slope, we have 2 points. Plug them into the equation. Over and our units are hours and kilometers, I'm assuming. So 276 kilometers divided by 3 hours. We're allowed to use decimals in this unit, which gives us 92 kilometers per hour. What does that represent? How fast they are driving, right? because it's kilometers per hour. So speed. Boom. Okay. Are we okay with that? Find the slope. If you put the units in, it'll yell at you basically what it means. Kilometers per hour is the speed. All right. Assume you drive at a constant journey, i.e. a straight line. Determine the reading at the start of the journey. What are they asking for here? Before you've gone anywhere, they're asking for what point? Yeah, but on the graph, yeah, it's the y-intercept, right? They're asking for this point right here. You haven't gone, your time is 0. So whoever said that is correct. Okay, what the reading of the car was before you got in it. So they're asking for the y-intercept. If they're asking for the y-intercept, and you should just do this anyway, because I'm going to ask you it on the test, is find the equation of the graph. Okay? So how do I find the equation of the graph? Mx plus b. So I'm going to skip the E here where they ask us to do it. Now they write it in this form. Really all they're ever saying is find it in mx plus b form. Okay? We know the slope. It's 92. Do we know a point? We know 2 points, right? We can use this one or we can use that one. It doesn't matter which one you use. But if we know a point and a slope, we have to use point slope equation, right? And then just plug in your numbers. The thing with these types of questions is because it's real life situation, the numbers aren't nice and neat. Okay, they're going to be big numbers. So you just have to be careful. So I'm going to use the smaller of the numbers, this point right here. So I'm going to go y minus 21,328 is equal to my slope, which is 92, times x minus the other x value, which is 2 hours. That's right, multiply that in. See, it's the same stuff over and over again. So 92x minus 184. Add 21,328 to each side. So whatever negative 184 plus 21,328 is. 21,144. So there's the equation of the line. So what was the reading in the car before you moved? I'm talking about what is this number right here? The y-intercept. If we have it in y is equal to mx plus b, what's the y-intercept of this graph? Mx plus b. Mx plus 21,144, right? So the y-intercept is 21,144 kilometers. That was the reading on the car, on the odometer before you left. Okay? Okay. It doesn't ask us this, but we're going to do it anyway. We're not going to do the appropriate domain. I'm going to say, what's the reading after, I don't know, 10 hours of driving? What do I do? Where does the 10 go? Is it an x value or a y value? Look at the graph. It's an x value. So what do? You put it in for x, right? So I go y is equal to so 920 22,000. So once you drive 10 hours, if it's at a constant rate, it should be the reading on the odometer should be 22,064 kilometers. Okay? This is the exact same stuff that we just did earlier. Find the slope of the graph, all right? It'll just have a different meaning. Before it was kind of abstract, now they have specific meanings, whether it's velocity or the rate of fuel consumption or whatever the units are. Find the slope, find the equation. You will have a point. So use the point slope equation, y minus y1 equals mx minus x1. Generate the equation, and then if I ask you how much is it after 10 hours or whatever, plug it into the equation, spits out the answer. Okay? I would like you to do question number 7 and 9. Oh, and number, I think it's 1. Yes, number 1. 1, 7, and 9, please.